I know investing in power tools is a big choice, but you know what's even more so? Investing in cordless power tools, because you're really buying into that brand. You're really tying yourself in with their system. You're kind of locked in. Yeah, you can have 2 or 3 different power tool lines of cordless batteries and stuff, but you still feel like you're really locked into that investment. But you know what? We live in a golden age of power tools where there's brands left, right, and center that are bringing out ridiculous amounts of performance at reasonable costs. It's really a great time to be a tool guy. And yet there's still a few brands out there you want to avoid. And some of them are some of the bigger name brands, and we're going to talk about why. So we're going to jump through my list of 2024's top cordless tool brands to avoid. And number one on the list, of course, is going to irk some people because we got to start off hard. And of course, I talked about this before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. And that is Bosch. Bosch's 18-volt system is a fantastic line of tools. They're great power tools. Don't get me wrong, these are some of the best tools on the market. However, Bosch doesn't really care about anybody who buys their tools from retail. If you are a corporate customer, a large business, if you're big in heavy duty construction, sure, Bosch may be for you. But for 99% of the people out there, most of the people who watch this channel, the people I'm talking to, Bosch isn't really a consideration. It's hard to get their tools. It's hard to get good deals. You can't really go in and get hands-on with most of this stuff, and they're top-of-the-line investments. They're not bad tools. They're just not made for 99% of the people out there who are buying these kind of tools. And one of the things that when I did a video just on this not too long ago, one of the number of things that people popped up with is, but Bosch has got this new thing where they're allowing other companies to use their battery systems, and they are, and that is really cool. And I wish more people would do that. However, apparently, all these people left out the fact that almost every single one of these companies, except for, let's see here, Wagner is a company that sells in the U.S., and and we're a U.S.-based YouTube channel here, so we're going to talk about North America here, Husqvarna, but every other one of these is European-based. So these battery systems that are like this great deal you're talking about is going to become this huge thing. It's not really happening here. So, and Wagner just makes paint sprayers. It's not like they make a whole line of tools. Husqvarna is cool. I love me some Husqvarna, and I can't wait to see it, but it's not that big a thing for most buyers. Another one along the same lines is Hilti. This is another brand that makes fantastic tools if you're in high-end construction. If you're dealing with cement or industrial construction, they're a fantastic tool. But the people who buy Hilti have the letters INC behind their name, okay? These are fleet purchase tools. Now, anybody can buy them, all right? I'm not saying you're not allowed. I'm not your mama or your daddy, and I'm not going to sit there and slap your hand if you go out and buy them. But honestly, it's like the grandma who's buying a Lamborghini Gallardo to go to church on Sunday. You may look cool doing it, but honestly, there's more affordable ways to get the same job done. All right, the Hilti makes fantastic tools, but they are specifically designed for the corporate buyer. And that's why if you actually go into a Hilti store, and I have a video from a few years back actually touring a Hilti store, all the prices are in weekly rentals because you don't buy the tool per se, you're buying the service that goes around it. It's a whole ecosystem. Hilti's fantastic tools, but they're not made for the average buyer, whether you're a DIYer or even a pro. Most pros aren't at the level of Hilti. They just aren't. Next up, we got to talk about Festool. Festool, again, another one of these. I know the first 4 of these are going to be kind of the same thing. They're fantastic tools. They're top-of-the-line tools, but for the average Joe, that's not who they're really designed for. Festool is designed for people who are high-end woodworkers and cabinet makers, okay? In fact, I don't think I've seen like any guys who do like mobile custom installs who aren't using Festool. Festool, I've got to use Festool tools. They're fantastic. But for most people, that's not really what they're designed for. They are specifically designed. They have a whole ecosystem built around it for modular components. They have the sustainer system where everything has a place and a place for everything, and it goes in your truck and you bring it out. It's a great system. If you are a high-end, install carpenter kind of stuff, for the average Joe and even for the average, construction guy, for the kind of construction I did, when I was younger. Festool would be ridiculous. It's not, again, it's using a NASA style hammer to drive a 10 penny nail. It's just overkill. And then last one in this list, of course, is going to be the Colt, as we call it. And that, of course, is SnapOn. Okay, I'm pulling some tails here. SnapOn is for the high-end mechanic, for the guys who are doing this in the industry. I get it. If you want to spend your money on SnapOn, that's your call to make. But if you're just the average Joe or even just an entry-level guy, I mean, there's better choices out there. DeWalt, Milwaukee, there's a ton of great choices when it comes to power tools. And Snap-on's been losing a lot of ground to people like DeWalt and Milwaukee lately. In the past handful of years, you see a lot of the younger guys going, I'm just not going to buy Snap-on. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the cost, you can tell this is not designed for the average Joe. Okay, so enough of these aren't the tools. These are the overpriced tools for higher end industries that are not designed for the average buyer. Now, when I say the average buyer, I'm talking about the person who usually buys at retail, whether that retail is brick and mortar or whether that retail is online. Whether you're a prosumer or whether you're a pro, 99% of the people don't need any of those tools. They're just way more than you're ever going to use. Now let's get into the other brands that you probably will see at retail or not in some cases. And you probably just need to avoid. Okay, and first on that list is going to be PorterCable. Now I've talked about PorterCable in the past, and I'm sorry, this is a crime. PorterCable used to be a fantastic brand. They used to be just the 5-star top of the tier. Like these are the tools you want to buy. And then Stanley Black & Decker got their hands on them and sat on the brand for a while. The cordless tools were still, or the corded tools for a long time were really quite good. They made some of, if not the best routers in the business. And they decided that they wanted to take this brand and reposition it to go up against Rigid. And I never did understand the point of that. And honestly, they didn't hit that mark. And in fact, worse yet, Rigid not only beat them, but TTI's lower tier Ryobi was consistently beating them in performance specs to the point where Stanley Black & Decker basically went out to buy milk, which is, for those of you who don't know, is the meme joke about a dad who leaves and does not come back, because this was a brand that was completely abandoned, that we should call child services and have them, taken into custody just for their own safety. They, if you look at their Instagram channel, now I've been roasting them on Instagram for years. At one point they blocked me, and then I called them out for blocking me, and they unblocked me. And I'm not being like super mean or anything about it. I'm just saying, guys, you've got a cordless tool brand out here that you're selling to people, and you haven't brought out any new tools in years. Now, I will say this, about 2.5 years ago, they brought out, I think it was 3 new tools, and then nothing since then. This is their Instagram page, and the last post, this one here, is an air tool, of course, and it's from 2 years ago. They are not bringing out new tools. They're not keeping up with the market. In fact, they got kicked out of Lowe's, and now they're over at Tractor Supply. Yeah, Tractor Supply has adopted them as their official cordless power tool. Of course, they still sell DeWalt, Makita, and Bosch, and Dremel. In fact, they're third on the list behind DeWalt and Makita as the official brand over there. And if you do go over to Tractor Supply in store, you can get it fast. They have all of, I think it's 8 tools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have a choice of 8 tools. A one-hand recip, a 2-hand recip, a grinder. Oh, this is a combo kit. So that's really just 2 of the other tools. We got a jigsaw. There's the standard recip. We already had the standard recip. So that's cordless brushless. Is this brushed up here? So we got a brush and a brushless, a recip, and another grinder here. Was this one a brushless? Yeah, great. So we got a couple of brushless. Anyway, redundant meet redundant. This is just a travesty when it comes to this brand, and it's one I can't recommend anybody get into. They are not terrible tools. I'm not saying that. They're not the best tools either. There's really better tools out there, and they've been abandoned. It's honestly, I'm surprised people haven't sued sue PorterCable or Stanley Black & Decker for selling them a line and then just walking away from it. I don't think you could, or you actually should. But the fact of the matter is, it's a brand to be avoided. Next up on our list is, boy, we're going to get some hate about this one, is Ridgid. Ridgid, I get a lot of hate from people about my discussions about Ridgid. People think I just hate on Ridgid to hate on Ridgid, and that's not, couldn't be further from the case. First of all, I think they're fantastic tools. All right. Second of all, if you go back, I've been doing this for 8 years here on YouTube. When I started, I was fully in the Ridgid cordless line. All right. I think they make great tools. I think they come. They're a reasonable value. I don't think they're a fantastic value, but I got into them for the same reason a lot of people did, and we're going to talk about that here. Here's the reality. They've been coming out with new tools here and there and stuff like this, but this is Home Depot, the only place you can go at retail and buy Ridgid, well, other than TTI's clearance center, the direct tools. Which there's like a handful of stores. So Ridgid power tools in stock at Home Depot, 37. You have 37 options, which is better than PorterCable. I'll totally give you that. And they're fantastic tools. I'm not going to take anything away from the performance of the tools, the quality of the build. I think they're great tools. They're not cheap tools, and you can get nearly the same performance and get a way wider selection of tools by going with Ryobi. 447 in-store tools. They have brushless. Ryobi's HP line is a fantastic line of tools. They have a huge selection. They're not going anywhere. They're backwards compatible to the old blue stuff for decades. And I'm not a huge fan of Ryobi, but I'm gonna say if you're looking at buying Ridgid, why would you buy Ridgid when for less money you could get a brand with way more tools to use those batteries on? You could get Ryobi. Now people are like, well, I get the Ridgid is better performance, better this, better that. If it's that big an issue, buy Milwaukee. It's not that much more to buy into Milwaukee's line. If performance is what you're hanging your hat on, if that's what this is about, then get Milwaukee and shut up. All right. I'm sorry. Someone needs to tell you this. Ridgid. Now people I already hear you squawking. You're probably already on the keyboard. You're going, but the lifetime warranty. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay. We're going to talk about the lifetime warranty. Well, first of all, it's not a warranty. It's a service agreement, which means it's a contract that they get to write and they get to make the rules up. Warranties have legal definitions that companies have to abide by. That's why they don't call it a warranty. It's a service agreement. And they're like, well, they changed it last year. Ridgid changed it. They fixed it. It's all better. No, they didn't, brother. They made it different. They did. It used to be you had to go to the store, and then the store would send it off. And also, now you just deal directly with Ridgid. Okay, so they cut out the middleman. That's nice. But the fact of the matter is they're still not standing behind their lifetime service agreement 100%. We did some tests with some of the viewers on the channel I know who are invested in Ridgid and are Ridgid fans. They like the tools. They think the value's there. They got in because of the lifetime service agreement. And I've talked to now 10 people who've done this, and half of them had an okay experience. Now, granted, you can say whether it was gone for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and they got their tool back, but they got their tool back. Some people, the other 5, did not have a good experience. And in many cases, just were basically told no for no reason. Just basically, we think it was abused. We're not going to cover it. They didn't abuse it. These are people I know, people I've talked to for years here on the channel. These are trusted people that I get feedback from all the time. And it's just not the case that they're morons who, and that's the thing. The Ridgid people are so rabid about this. They're like, well, they didn't turn in the thing. They didn't file their form. They come up with any excuse. They will make stuff up out of thin air to cover up for what Ridgid is doing. I know I'm ranting on this too much. I'm going to keep going. Sorry, I don't get paid to hate on Ridgid. I'm sitting here telling you, buy TTI high end, buy TTI low end. The middle of the road stuff, there's just no room for it, all right? The Milwaukee stuff when it's on sale is such a great deal. The Ryobi stuff is fantastic for the price. There's no room in the middle for the Goldilocks here. And sorry, Goldilocks need to go and find a different job. Anyway, let's keep going. Black & Decker. Boy, this is, again, another brand of Stanley Black & Decker just letting something wither right there on the tree. This is I don't know, do they even make power tools anymore? They're almost impossible to find. They've all but kicked them out of Lowe's. They did kick them out of Walmart. I can't remember the last time I saw Black & Decker at retail. I do own 2 Black & Decker products, actually 3. I have their Matrix system, which is kind of a cool combo kit that you see go on sale every so often. I have a rice cooker, and I have a toaster oven. There are Black & Decker, I kid you not. There's so many other great brands out there. Friends don't let friends buy Black & Decker, unless, of course, I hear the cocktail maker that they have now is pretty good. It's a hot item. That's a thing. And then over at Harbor Freight, I love me some Harbor Freight, but the Warrior brand at Harbor Freight is just, it's just sitting there. All right, they're all brushed tools. They don't come with a real charger. And when I say that, what I mean by a real charger is you got the battery and you got the battery pack and it like plugs directly into the battery. I want a charger where I can sit, I can click it in, I can walk away from it and leave it. I don't like the thing where I have to plug it directly into the battery. It's kind of weird. The jigsaw, let's see, we got a drill driver, a jigsaw, an impact, a recip, and a flashlight, which is a nice kind of starter pack, but it doesn't go anywhere. And I kept hoping that they were going to come out with more, and maybe they'd come out with more, and they just never did. And, it's if you're going to be looking for a brand, a real budget entry-level one, I would look at something like Hyper Tough over at Walmart. They redid Hyper Tough a few years ago. They're at least as good as Warrior, if not better in many cases. And there's more selections of tools. At least last time I looked, there was more selection of tools. I love the Bauer line. I love the Hercules line. I can't recommend either of those lines enough. But the Warrior cordless stuff, I can't find a place for it. Maybe you can think of one for me. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Amazon tools. Look at this. This is legit. The brand on this cordless drill is Cordless Drill. I can't make this up. There are hundreds, if not thousands of brands on Amazon that are one-offs where they're OEMing. That means original equipment manufacturer. Basically, they're going to somebody else who makes the tool. Say, we want to sell your tool, put our brand name on it, put it in a box that has our brands on it, and make everyone believe that we manufactured it. And you can go to Alibaba and you could be selling tools tomorrow if you got enough money in your bank account to back it. So something like this, almost $40, there is a 10% off coupon to get yourself a 20-volt cordless drill that legit says Cordless Drill. And there are worse brands actually on Amazon than this. And these are brands that I personally don't trust. They're brands that I've talked to or I've worked with that have made unethical choices, in my opinion. Chemo is the top of the line here. About 4 or 5 years ago, they came out really hard and they really pushed the whole influencer market on YouTube. They were sending tools to anybody who would take them. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a content creator, and he tested one of the tools, thought it was really good. So they sent him some more, and the second tool he said was absolute garbage. He said, and he did a video saying it was absolute garbage. And the company threw a hissy fit and tried to get him to take down the video and a bunch of other stuff. And he had, between those two times happened, he'd recommended to that company they reach out to me. Well, they called me, but this was after the second video came out, and they wanted me to sign a contract saying that I would not say anything negative about the tool, which that is not something we will do. If you've seen some of the videos, you know that that's the case. In fact, I've been collecting a list of companies that do that. Now, unfortunately, most of them aren't really big name companies that make a lot of noise, but Chemo's one. So we do have to call them out. That is unethical practice, And I can't recommend them because of that. On top of that, they really haven't really ever expanded into the full line of tools they said they were. I mean, they've got a few tools we're going to look at the 20 volt line here. They got a couple of 12 volt stuff, but the cordless impact, we got 2 1/2-inch impacts, a nailer, another impact wrench, a buffer, and a ratchet, and a one-hand recip saw, and that's it. And if it floats your boat, that's great. But again, I wouldn't trust the warranty on this because the company is willing to lie and pressure people into giving good reviews. And at that point, I'm just done with them. Next up on this list, for the same reasons, is Lelli. Now, Lelli is a company that reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you review one of the power tools?" And I think it was a snowblower, honestly, or maybe it was a pole. No, they sent me a pole saw and a head shimmer, a blower, something like that. This was a long time ago. And this happened right after Harbor Freight dropped their Lynx system. Lynx was their 40 volt outdoor power equipment system. And they decided to go in the different route, so they got rid of that line, which of course is a brand. Harbor Freight doesn't actually make anything. They were OEMing it from a company. Well, Lelli stepped in. I don't know if they were the company that actually manufactured it, or if they just picked up and were like, "Hey, these guys are available. We're going to start buying from them." But they released these tools, and I did a video showing these are the same tools. I even took a Lelli battery, went into a Harbor Freight, and was able to slide the battery into a bunch of the Lynx power tools that they still had in stock and get them to run. So this is, clearly the same battery platform, everything working. And Lelli flipped out, and first they asked me nicely to take the video down, which I said no. I'm being honest. Then they threatened me legally, and at which point I told them that I thought they were number one, if you know what I'm saying there. And no, that's not a company I can ever suggest that somebody should buy from when they're willing to harass and threaten people to take down videos because they say something that they don't like, which is basically that, hey, you're not making your own tools. I mean, I don't even know why you'd have a fit about that. Another one here is HiChica. HiChica, again, they right off the bat reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to do a review of our tools. By the way, you can't say anything negative about them." It was just like, wow, that is bold right from the get-go. You're just going to go straight there. And I told them that's a hard pass. And that's a reason we've never had HiChica reviewed here on the channel. I don't know how you pronounce this. HiChica. I don't even bother with worrying about the pronunciation on these tools anymore. The names are all over the place, and they come and go so fast, it really doesn't matter. Now, this is another one. Inel. This one's actually completely different. This is one I would consider recommending because if you go on Amazon, they look just like every other no-name, weird name power tool company out there. But pump the brakes on this one. Inel is actually a prosumer brand from Europe. I think they're from Germany. I could be wrong about that. I'm just guessing based on the name. But apparently they're an established brand all over Europe, and they were trying to break into the U.S. market, and they were working with Snow Joe for some reason. You could go to Snow Joe/Sun that company. You could go to their website, and they had all the regular Snow Joe, Sun Joe brands, and then at the end, you could get Inel, which was weird. And they decided to break off that relationship, so Inel moved over to Amazon. And you can buy this stuff on Amazon, and sometimes they have some just ridiculously good deals. They're decent. I would call them DIY. I wouldn't call them high-end prosumer. I would call them high-end DIY tools. All right, weekend warrior kind of stuff, your average homeowner kind of stuff. The good quality tools. And if you can get a good deal on it, that'd be great. But this is a brand that I would say is an exception to that rule. And then there's stuff like this, DCK. Now, I've made a lot of fun of the big red DCK here, and their parent company, Dongcheng DCK, and their PR group, BJ. I kid you not, I can't make this stuff up. I did a whole video on it. I can't do enough double entendres to drive home the point on this. But the fact is, they're honestly not bad tools. And this is another company that actually turns out that back overseas, this time going the opposite direction over in China, is a well-known brand, a well-known group that makes what they consider to be professional grade tools. The DCK here, this is a brushless 20 volt drill with a full metal chuck that's actually quite well made, comes with a base station style charger. You get a decent bag with it, and you get a 4 amp hour battery for $60. But wait, there's a 10% off coupon. Actually, sometimes this thing goes even cheaper. I've seen it as cheap as $40. I don't have any price data on it, sorry. But it's one of these ones where, like, hey, if you're buying it as a one-off, because unfortunately they don't have a whole line of tools to go with it. But if you just need a one-off, hey, I need a cheap tool to do a job. I've been in that situation. I've been over at a friend's house or a family member's house and something broke. And you know, of course, I'm the fix-it guy. So I'm the one that everyone turns to. It's like, hey, can you fix this? Oh, sure. Let me run to the store, order something, blah, blah. I could see having something like this. Maybe as a, you know, something to throw in the go bag, something to loan to the brother-in-law, something like that. Or just having a good, like, I don't care if it gets destroyed kind of tool. There's tools I need for sketchy kind of stuff that I do sometimes. For $54 right now for a brushless with a 4 amp hour battery, that may be something I consider. It's a decent tool. It's not terrible. And then these are going to be a list of the, let's not call them tools to avoid, tools you might want to think twice about. And it really hurts me to say that Metabo HPT is on this list, because a handful of years ago, I listed them as the best bang for the buck power tool brand out there for drill drivers. You can get a brushless drill driver with a 4 amp hour battery with a charger for under $100 with a lifetime warranty. Great system. They used to be Hitachi. When we talked about them, they were Hitachi. They got bought by Metabo, renamed Metabo HPT. HPT part standing for Hitachi Power Tools. Great tools. Fantastic tools. Definitely what I would consider to be, you know, that value pro kind of grade level of tools. Can't recommend them enough. The only reason I'm saying that you want to slow down about this is they're normally sold through Lowe's. And Lowe's has been clearing them out and will not answer questions to me about whether they're actually getting rid of the brand entirely. They've been making room on their shelves for some other stuff. We don't know what the future of Metabo HPT here is for Lowe's. And if they get rid of them at Lowe's, then they become an online only. And at some point, maybe Metabo just decides, well, it's just not worth selling it as a separate brand. They're just one of the things where I'm not saying don't buy them. I'm just saying at least be informed, fully informed. Do a bunch of research before you invest in this line. Another one along the same lines is actually kind of different. This is Craftsman. So what I'm going to say with Craftsman is a brand that Stanley Black & Decker, boy, they did a number on this one. So they had PorterCable as their middle of the road. That was their golden child between Black & Decker brand and DeWalt was PorterCable. And of course, they basically took them to the orphanage and dropped them off. Said, we got somebody new. We bought Craftsman. See you later. Bye. So Craftsman is now the new golden child over at Stanley Black & Decker. They paid $900 million for this. They're not going to let this one, hopefully anytime soon, wither on the vine. They're gonna make sure that this one happens. However, I've been truly disappointed in all the brushed power tools that I've used from them. They just not have the value hasn't been there considering the price. The batteries aren't cheap, the chargers aren't cheap, and to get in that brushed line just doesn't make sense. However, they just redid their brushless line as the new V20 line, and this stuff is just killing it. The stuff they've been putting out in the V20 line is just top notch, often coming within, you know, spitting distance of its big brother DeWalt. And honestly, in many cases, I'm fairly certain it's DeWalt just painted red in a lot of these, but you're getting them at Craftsman prices. And for the DIYer, the prosumer, even the Value Pro, this is a line you might want to consider. I'm talking about the brushless stuff, the V20. The brush stuff, it just ain't there for the money. But the brushless stuff is pretty good. Anyway, I know you guys are going to hate on me for these choices, but I'm just being honest with you. I've been following this industry, or I've been working following this industry for 8 years. reporting on everything that goes on. I go to all the trade shows. I talk to a lot of insiders. You may have, I know there's always people who are going to be like, but I'm special, I'm different, and that's great. I'm sure your mom is really proud of you. But I'm talking to a wide audience here. I'm talking to everybody. And when I say that, I may not be speaking to you specifically. You may have a special use needs consideration, like with SnapOn and Festool and Hilti and stuff like that. But for 99% of the buyers out there, these are my top brands you should avoid. If you got some other brands you think people should avoid, put it down in the comments. I'd love to see it. While you're down there, don't forget to chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care, God bless, and as always, shine on.